leveling the playing field. Um, James Brown has this song, I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Just open up the door and I get it myself. Originally from Syracuse, New York, similar to Ron, as he was stating earlier. My mother struggled with substance abuse. My biological father was in prison in Attica. Up in New York, my stepfather came into my life and brought our beautiful blended family south to Jacksonville. All we knew that when we came to Jacksonville, it was always sunny. He brought us here for hope and a better future. But needless to say, the same drugs in New York were the same drugs in Jacksonville. My mother passed in 2020 from fentanyl. I do not say this to you to ask anybody for sympathy, but if you can relate or if you understand, I believe that there's enough folks in this room collectively to where we could work together to counter these type of outcomes. My wife, as Mattis mentioned, is a retired Navy. She served our country for 22 years. Shout out to all of you that currently serve or have served our country. I'm a girl dad, have three beautiful daughters. As Matt mentioned earlier, he likes to keep strong women around him. I don't have a choice. My youngest is special needs. We call her Sparkles because she knows how to light a room up. She's the boss. She was born about a mile from here at UF Health during the pandemic. She's an Easter baby for those of you that follow Easter. Spent 30 days in NICU during the pandemic. But she got the best care, the best service. So I will forever be indebted to UF Health. Pertaining to what I do, I run a nonprofit called the First Coast Leadership Foundation. And with our nonprofit, our mission is to help shift our city streets from battlegrounds to playgrounds. And we do that through civic engagement, through mentoring, through workforce development. We host job fairs. And not only that, we do health fairs pertaining to Healthy Punch, prevention under nutritional clinical health. For those of you that may or may not know, Jacksonville has the highest concentration of African Americans out of any other city in the state of Florida. It's over 300,000. One of the challenges is that when it comes to organizational leadership and being in rooms like this, a lot of my elders don't even know how to get into this room. And to be honest with you, I don't know how I got in this room. So I do not take this lightly. And this is just one piece of it. Anybody remember a guy by the name of Bruce Lee? Okay, so I was 5 years old, jumping off my grandmother's sofa, karate chopping her dining room table, and she called me Dunk. She said, "Dunk, if you don't sit down, I know something." But she saw how my eyes lit up from watching Enter the Dragon, so she signed me up for Taekwondo. So I've been practicing some form of martial arts my entire life. When I was growing up, they didn't have ODD, opposition or defiant, EBD, emotionally behavior disturbed. They didn't have ADD or ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. You were just hype, right? And just putting things in context, my grandmother signed me up for Taekwondo. She didn't say, well, let me see how we can do this IEP to get you on some medicine and see what happens. Basically, my background is in education. I graduated about 2 miles down the street from the first historically black college in the state of Florida, Edward Waters University, a degree in education. So I took my education background and merged it with my martial arts program, and we have our own curriculum called SEAL Team, social, emotional, and academic leadership through mentoring and martial arts. We're able to go into public schools, private schools, and charter schools to be able to work with our young people. And it crosses all nationalities, it crosses all backgrounds, it crosses even genders. Because when you find out that you have been empowered and you've been encouraged and somebody believes in you, it builds community. One of the things that I did, and this is through life work, through the Jacks Chamber, I was able to make some good relationships. We hosted a martial arts demonstration at Ed White High School. And I don't know who gave us permission to do this, But I'm glad they did, because on that mat, I got a chance to meet a young man by the name of Armandre. Armandre has locks down his back. At that time, he was 18 years old. He was going to school at Ed White and also working at Burger King part-time. I said, Armandre, what do you want to do with yourself? Armandre said, I want to be a merchant seaman. I said, well, why a merchant seaman? He said, because I just want to travel the world. I want to work and I want to be able to send some money back to my mom and this. And I'm like, okay. So what does it take to become a merchant seaman? He says, well, you got to take 2 exams and you got to pass. I said, all right, so when are you going to get started? He said, well, it's going to take me about 3 months to raise the money to take those exams. And then I'm going to take those exams, pass, and become a merchant seaman. I said, well, how much is it? He said, well, one test is like 800. The other test is like 700. So it's like 1,500 or something like that total, maybe a little bit more. And what he said was, it's going to take me 3 months to raise the money to be able to take those exams. I said, all right. I said, are you graduating? He said, I'm graduating. I said, are you graduating with a certificate of completion or you graduate with a diploma? He said, I'm graduating with a diploma. I said, okay. I said, listen, I'm reaching out to some folks to see if we can raise some money to get you those tests. All I need you to do is stay on track and graduate. So before Armandre graduated, we were able to present him with a check, $1,500. Armandre texts me every week, thank you, Mr. Nicks. Thank you, Mr. Nicks. Thank you, Mr. Nicks. I'm like, man, you don't have to thank me. You need to thank God. And then I need you to go back and tell your classmates, tell your peers that people believe in them too. But all they need to know is that when you get this opportunity, you're going to capitalize on it. And I'm just here to tell you, there's so many businesses here in Jacksonville. We hosted the Americans of African Descent Economic Summit. I had a room kind of filled like this with black entrepreneurs. And the reason why I call it Americans of African Descent is because we're not able to trace our bloodline back to the country of origin, the people of origin, the tribal origin. So we're American first. And everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we were working with these entrepreneurs to help them with scaling their business from capacity, capabilities, and access to capital. And you would be surprised how eyes were being lit up. Because a lot of times when we look at startup businesses, if you come from a family of business owners, then you already know the muscle and the grind that it takes, or the network that you need to be able to make those telephone calls. But if you first generation, you don't know where to start. All you know is you got an idea that you believe in, and you're willing to sell out to it. So with that experience, we were able to help businesses line up with the HR department for those that needed those services, being able to connect with different banking and lending institutions. But the challenge is that a lot of times when it comes to black and brown communities, we don't always get the same access to capital. And we want to help them be able to scale up. But I do want to put this out there. I love this city. I want to say it like this. I love this city. And for those of you, this is your first time here, you're not going to get it, but you'll pick it up eventually. When we leave our town and we go to another town and we say Duval, let me tell you something. It becomes contagious to where you pick up the energy of a fighting spirit of folks who are able to get stuff done when they have an opportunity. I love this city. Why? Because we got the river. Ain't but 2 rivers in the world that flow north. One is the Nile and one is the St. Johns River. When you come to Jacksonville, we want you to spend a day at the beach. We want you to spend a day downtown. We want you to spend a day in the historic areas. And we want you to spend a day with the Jaguars. And we want you shouting Duval. I love this city. Yes, we got a lot of challenges. But when we work together, we're able to get stuff done. This man by the name of Sebastian Jung wrote this book. It's called Tribal, Homecoming and Belonging. And he was talking about how military veterans in foreign wars, they felt more comfortable in battle with their comrades than they did back home in America with their own families. And the psychological context of it was that he built around determination. And then I broke down determination into 3 C's. The first C would be a sense of confidence. The second C would be around competence. And the third C was community. Because when you're confident, you believe in yourself. When you're competent, you got something to bring to the table. And then when you have community, you have somebody or someone or a group of folks to be able to share those experiences with. And basically, this is a great opportunity because folks are probably saying, well, how can I get involved? Well, if you choose to get involved in the work and investing in the next or even the current generation, some of you may not have time, but you can do a Zoom call. You might be able to mentor somebody. For some of you, you may not be able to do Zoom, but you got friends who have a subject matter expertise that may be able to volunteer some time or a few hours. Those few hours go a long way because that's how you build social capital. This is how we build social capital. And just being in those experiences, being in the rooms. Obviously, some of you may be a little busy, but if you're able to join a board, there's wonderful nonprofits within this city. The challenge is whenever nonprofits apply for city funding, a lot of times they're what you would call reimbursement grants, which means you have to do the work first, and then you may have to wait 30, 60 to 90 days before those funds are actually reimbursed. So it becomes challenging to be able to scale up to where you're able to increase your impact. This is a great opportunity. The Bible talks about Esther 4:14. Who knows, for you are in this room for such a time as this. This is a great opportunity for boldness. Boldness with ideas, boldness with creativity, boldness with connectivity, boldness with community. And there's work for all of us to do. And I'm going to close with this. In fifth grade, I couldn't read. Merrill Road Elementary School in Arlington. Tona Penland called me and my mom together and said, listen, Nahshon, if I promote you, I'll be doing you a disservice. And I broke down crying. And I'm like, no, you can't do this. You can't do this. And she says, Nahshon, if I promote you, I'll be hurting you. I said, no. I don't want to fail. I don't want to fail. So I said, Miss Penland, you told me and you told us where there's a will, there's a way. Miss Penland tutored me every day after school in reading until I was able to read on a sixth grade level. I told you I graduated from Edward Waters. I graduated senior class president. My degree is in education. The last course in order for me to graduate is student teaching. And basically, with the course that I had to teach, it was fifth grade reading. You will be surprised what happens when people are able to not just believe in you, but get behind you. There's this story about acres of diamonds, about a man in Africa who sold his farm to go and find diamonds in Africa. He ended up losing all his money, and he ends up dying miserable. To find out the land that he once owned was the area in which they found the largest diamond. Duval is our diamond. It's going to take a little attention. It's going to take a little bit of love. It's going to take a little bit of empathy. But I believe that if we all work together, we will all win. My name is Nahshon Nicks, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.